Greetings, everyone.
I'm back, baby.
It's Ciely.
I'm great. Everybody else sucks.
Oh,
Oh no, it's every nightmare I've ever had.
Excuse me?
it's time to check the link.
Pretty crazy, huh? But it doesn't matter because none of this has anything to do with the show.
You know what? You just made the list.
Oh, wait, you serious? Let me laugh even harder.
It's all in football.
Sure, we talk about it all the time. Really? No.
What's up, you ducks? Lauren is back. It's all in football. Week 9, waivers, worries, the whole shebang. I didn't wear... I'm kind of interested because your mic is blocking so much of your shirt. I didn't wear a 90 shirt because it was possibly the last day of baseball. Hopefully not. I hate the Braves. And everybody's like, oh, the Astros are cheaters. Get over it. It's years ago. They already cheated. You can't do anything about it now. I still hate the Braves because I'm a Mets fan, end quote. But yes, that's why I cannot root for the Braves. But anyway, so Team Steve from Stranger Things. So it still is a crossover t-shirt instead of the MLB logo. What are you hiding for us today, Lauren? Because we can't see it.
Disney princesses. I'm rocking the Disney princesses.
All of them.
All of them.
Most of them.
Well,
all the old school ones.
Yes,
yeah.
the old school ones.
Old school
I went Disney
princesses.
today.
Went Disney after missing last week in Nashville, having a lot of fun.
I was here. I was dressed as Chris Meany.
Somebody said it was the best outfit that anybody's ever seen, looking like Chris
Thank
Meany. And speaking of Meany, hey, one more time, give him a shout out over at FTN. Hockey is going, so if you want to go over there, code all in 20% off. If you go to the Athletic, I don't know why you haven't yet. It's we're officially kind of past the halfway point because it's not that clear. 17, 8 and 8 games now. Now it's like 8.5, so maybe by Thursday's the halfway point. Like, I don't really know where the halfway point is anymore. But anyway, theathletic.com/betstv. Lauren, let me ask you this, Lauren. I don't usually ask you in general, but do you have any teams where you're definitively looking like you're in the playoffs or definitively out?
I have a healthy combo of both of those. So
I do
have, I'm in, I think like 15 leagues or something, and I'm definitively out in about 3, and I'm definitively in about 3, possibly 5. We'll see how the next few weeks go.
3, possibly 5. One of them is not flex because she turned that down, so she's never allowed back. She's banned forever. But we are going to talk. Hey, you're missing some competitive things. I don't think there's there's not a single undefeated team, and there's not a single team without a win. And most of all 4 flex leagues, of all of them, most of the teams in general, like I would say 85%, if I'm doing the quick math in my head around that, are 5-3, 4-4, 3-5. Like, that's how tight the group is. The only thing I don't like about it is we don't trade enough, but we also don't talk enough usually about quarterbacks on this show because we talk streamers tomorrow with Jeff, reminder 2 p.m., and there's a whole streaming section in there, and people don't usually care about quarterbacks. But, Lauren, Jameis Winston's done for the year. We've seen Taysom Hill. We've seen Taysom Hill be a fringe QB1, actually even a top 10 quarterback because of his rushing upside alone. And I saw Brad Evans tweet this out just before we came on the show. He said, for everybody talking about Taysom Hill, let's not forget that he was a top 10 quarterback and is more accurate than Jalen Hurts, who we like as a top 10 quarterback because of his rushing. If you've been streaming quarterbacks, if you're in a one quarterback league and you've been playing the Lawrence and the Daniel Jones game, stuff like that, do you go out there? Do you aggressively go out after Taysom Hill? Because I would if I was playing that game this entire time.
Yeah, I like Taysom Hill a lot, and I'm sorry because to me it looks like I'm very stroby at the moment. I don't know what's going on.
No, so here, finish what you're saying. I'll set up the next question. You leave and come back in.
Okay, I'll do that. All right. I do like Taysom Hill quite a bit, and I like what he can do with his legs. I like what he's able to churn up, especially when it comes to those rushing touchdowns. I don't mind that at all, but I don't know, is it going to be definitively Taysom Hill? Have we decided that?
I mean, It's a concussion. If he's back from the concussion, that's all that's stopping it. Then they're not turning to Ian Book and Trevor Siemian.
Maybe. I don't know, man. All right. You set up the next question. I'm going to hop out and hop back in.
Okay, make it snappy. Your Disney princess shirt.
Snappy.
your Disney princess shirt broke the show. In any case, I was going to talk quarterback one more time before Lauren comes back because I was going to jump ahead to the worry section and then come back and talk waivers. But the worry section about Patrick Mahomes, I had him in the Athletic worry section last week with only one duck because it was first non-double-digit score since 2019. But again, another game against the Giants. I will say I watched the entire game. I know our producer Tina watched the entire game. No, a lot of people did. It's Monday Night Football. The Giants had a great game plan for it. I would say I went from 1 duck to 1 and an egg, not giving them 2. Yeah, there's Lauren. Look, you're doing fine. I'm talking Patrick Mahomes' worry after last night, because 2 weeks in a row now with Patrick Mahomes. Last week was 1. I give him 1.5 after last night. It was still double-digit points, still fringe QB1 performance. And that's my opinion of this, Lauren. What I was about to say is why I'm not that concerned. People are looking at the schedule and like, oh, the schedule is really scary. However, the winning record of their schedule is scary. The defenses they're facing for passing upside really aren't. There's only about one bad matchup in there. So what's your worry level when it comes to Patrick Mahomes, because it ties into Travis Kelce and the rest of the team?
Yeah, you know what? For me, I've already graduated from that egg, and I'm gonna go ahead. Yeah, I'm too. And the reason and it's possibly, we'll see what happens next week, but because when I was in Nashville, I saw that game. I was there at the Titans Chiefs game, and it was something to behold. And when I watched them last night, it was weird. Things aren't clicking. They're not on the same page. Granted, a lot of this is the receivers' faults, bouncing off their heads and right through their arms. And then Travis Kelce, what's going on with you? But there is something where it doesn't look like Mahomes is seeing the field correctly like he has before, or they're just trying to get too cute. So I am a little bit more concerned. I'm not like going crazy about it. I'm not going to freak out. I know, but it's less than 3. It is, but I am concerned. I do think they can right the ship, but they better do it quickly.
I think the biggest thing we talked about it with Meany last week was the fact the offensive line is doing him no favors. Whereas everybody's like, oh, it's the regression. Yeah, it's the regression from the recklessness, and he's getting over cute from what worked from the past. It's also the fact that he's running before he really even wants to run. Like, it used to be more of a choice, and now it's more of a necessity to get away from the pressure. So again, the schedule's not as bad as people look at it on paper because they flashed that schedule with the records last night, but I'm not too concerned. Maybe, you know what? I would be. I'll give him a second one if it's another third straight week. But you know what? Third straight week, at that point, it might be too late if you are really concerned. So out of this game, we're all sitting there watching and be like, oh my God, Derek Gore, why is this happening? Why? Even Michael Strahan comes on the Manning broadcast and be like, is that Frank Gore's son? And we're all like, no, that's not Frank Gore's son. Not yet. We still have to wait a year and a half. But, we're only a year and a half away. How crazy is that? But Derek Gore looked better during that drive than Darrell Williams looked for most of the game. That being said, Darrell Williams still looked good in the second half, still vastly outsnapped him, still out-touched him, still out there more, actually had better yards after the contact number than Gore did, despite Gore looking that good. I bring all this up to say, would you go grab Derek Gore? Because I put him in the waiver column as, I think he was 3rd or 4th at running back for this week, and I said purely because he plays for the Chiefs, and if something happens to Williams before Edwards-Helaire gets back.
Yeah, I don't hate that idea. If you have the room, I definitely would. I'm curious as to what is going on with this. This is so very Andy Reid to do. Like they have McKinnon and they've got, Darrell Williams, and just let's bring in Derek Gore. Sure, why not? The Kansas City Chiefs faithful, they are very familiar with who Derek Gore is, even though I was not. I said the same thing as Strahan. I'm like, that had better not be Frank Gore's son because I am not ready to be that old. I cannot handle this. But yeah, so I think if you have the room, why not? Because he's getting touches. I wonder how much of this was a test for Gore to see how well he could do, to see what he was going to bring to the table. And he succeeded. Just like you said, he looked better. He passed that eyeball test, but so did Darrell Williams. They did a good job. And frankly, I think Derek Gore played better than Clyde Edwards-Helaire did when he was starting.
I think that's the big one. And everybody watched last night's game. I saw a lot of people on Twitter like, oh, he looked better than Darrell Williams. Okay. That one drive was impressive, but let's take Gore's entire performance. And again, you just have to go look at the numbers. Yards after contact, which is a very telling number for running backs, Darrell Williams was still better in that game. Yeah. He did have, I think it was ripped off a pretty long run in the 4th quarter, if I remember what. But the point being is it was like, that's perception. I talk about perception all the time. And I think it's just more of you got caught in the moment. I'm not saying Derek Gore didn't look good, but to be honest, I think he was as good, not better than Darrell Williams. And that's what I think people are getting caught up on. They think like, oh, Gore's the new answer because he looked better.
No, I don't think he's the new answer. But one thing that we've seen heading through here, we were seeing the Cowboys kind of do this between Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. And unfortunately, we did not. We did not see this. Oh, of course, because he would have done it better than Derek Carr. Of course.
Oh, I said so Tony Pollard would have leapt from the 13-yard line straight into the end zone. There would be no contact.
And unfortunately, we did not see this happen in Tennessee. And look what we have. So we have an extra week in this year. We're coming off of a weird year at COVID. So this is it. I think teams are just kind of getting a little bit smarter with real football when it comes to spreading around the volume of these workhorse backs that need some help. Unfortunately, this does nothing for us for fantasy football, but it does help the longevity of your running backs moving forward.
So, yes, let's talk, Lauren, and her curse that is so powerful. She left and then went to Nashville and hurt Derrick Henry.
Oh, my God, I didn't even put that together, Jake. I was leaving that way out of my mind. It's true.
See?
I'm a curse.
She curses running backs on the show, and when she's not on the show, she just goes to the city and destroys them in person. This is how ridiculous Lauren can be. If there's anybody out there that you don't want to play anymore, buy her plane tickets, and she'll visit that city and ruin that running back for you. So Derrick Henry,
that's terrible.
Possibly, real quick on Derrick Henry. First of all, if you're playing in a league like this, stop playing in a league like this. If you don't have IR spots, people are still insane, still playing in leagues like this. You're stupid. Stop that. Anyway, if you are playing in a league like this, Lauren, do you drop Derrick Henry? Because they left out the window where he could return for the playoffs if before the end of the season for 2 or 3 weeks. And people are out there thinking, oh my God, if I drop Derrick Henry and he comes back in week 16 for my final 2 playoff games, I would hate that. I get it, but with no IR, I think you have to drop him.
I think you do. I think you can wait, though, until it becomes to this situation where it's like, okay, now I have to because you're struggling with injuries elsewhere. But yeah, if you have to
drop him for Jermichael Hasty. Unless you absolutely need somebody. Yes, I agree with that.
So that's my one caveat. But yeah, I do think you have to and stop with the no IR spots. I'm in a couple leagues that do that, and it drives me absolutely bananas. Ugh. But yeah, I think you might have to, and that really sucks. Yeah.
Okay. So now let's talk about, they bring in Adrian Peterson. They have Jerry McNichols. Jerry McNichols, for his entire career, not longer. Actually, his career is longer than people think because he wasn't on the field for most of the first 2 seasons of his career. But has never, actually one time, had more or double-digit carries. It was more than 9, I was going to say. So whichever way you want to look at it, I think it was 10 or 11 in one game. That's the most he's ever been. Jerry McNichols, I drew the comparison yesterday with Meany to Boston Scott. And that, yes, he can have some carries at the goal line, could have some between the tackles, but you have to be honest about who McNichols is and who he really, truly is. And honestly, I would take, if you told me versus player, I would take Scott between the tackles every single time before I took McNichols. They bring in Adrian Peterson for this reason. And I drew the comparison to Adrian Peterson with the Lions and said, you know what, for the comparison to Derrick Henry. He's not even the same world as Derrick Henry is anymore at this point of Adrian Peterson's career. But if you look at the Lions and the usage on rundowns between the tackles before and after the contact, the numbers aren't that different, and he was playing on the Lions. So I say all this to say, Lauren, I am picking up Peterson before McNichols, even if it takes a week. I am also expecting fringe, low-end RB2 value that's going to be touchdown reliant, but I am going after Adrian Peterson, even if I'm flush at running backs, because of the potential upside. Yes, could we be looking at Adrian Peterson in a week and be like, this is Frank Gore on the Colts and we want nothing to do with him anymore? Sure, but I'm still taking the chance that there's top 25 value for him.
I agree. I think like you were saying, the upside here. I think that Adrian Peterson has way more opportunity to be scoring the touchdowns in this offense as opposed to Jeremy McNichols, which is what we need when we're talking about fantasy production here. And head coach Mike Vrabel, he came out and he said they're not really going to change their offense. This is how they go. They just don't have Derrick Henry, so they're going to have to figure out a way to work both Jeremy McNichols and Adrian Peterson in as that guy. And who knows, there could be, Sargent that comes in and helps out with this too, because let's be honest, you need 3 or 4 to 5, 6 people to make what Derrick Henry is in one human being. So it's going to be a mess no matter what. So if it's going to be a mess, and if I am going to be taking one of these guys, I think I'm going to lean toward Adrian Peterson as well. He's widely available too, like 1% roster.
Is this McNichols and this is Adrian Peterson and this is Mikhail Sargent and this is so we need 2 more though because you have to Voltron to get. That's what I'm doing there. Yeah, so you have Voltron for Derrick Henry. Is this as that his nickname, Derrick Voltron Henry?
Sure, we can make it happen.
Voltron Henry. That's just so you know, Derrick Henry. We just gave you a nickname. You are Voltron because it takes 5 running backs to equal you. That's what it comes down to.
It's true though. So yeah, but Adrian Peterson is the one that has the upside. He's the one that can.
But you're still grabbing McNichols too if you miss out on AP or just as insurance. What if he is Boston Scott? What if he does get someone?
Yeah, I mean, sure. Yeah, I would. Although I think, I struggle with this back and forth because he's only seen 7 carries for like 38 yards so far. But his work is in the passing game. So if I'm in those PPR scoring formats, then yeah, I think I would want to take advantage of that. But if for some reason I'm playing in a standard league, I think I might avoid it.
So if you had the choice before, so I'm going to come back to the Titans real quick. There's actually a question that I'm going to get to that is relevant to it. But anyway, Boston Scott or Jerry McNichols? After what we just saw, who would you pick up? Because here's the thing. Boston Scott might have limited value. Jordan Howard is involved. McNichols could have long-term value, and it could just be the McNichols we've already seen, which is RB3 at best.
Yeah, that's a tough one for me because Miles Sanders is on short-term IR. He's not out for the season, whereas Derrick Henry is out for the season. So I think I might lean McNichols. Give me the change. I'll take McNichols there. I don't love it though. That's something I'm very excited about. I say that with like disdain and like ew.
Disgust. Yes. I would actually go Boston Scott for this reason, just in case. Christian McCaffrey is a perfect example. Like we were like, I'm not saying we, because we told people on this very show, do not let go of Hubbard until McCaffrey is back. I bring that up to say, what if Miles Sanders is 3 weeks more, 4 weeks more, 5 weeks more, like doesn't come back, whatever it might be. So I don't disagree with you in the fact of like, I disagree in like what I would do, but I don't disagree with your sentiment. Back to the Titans real quick. I thought they might pass a little bit more going forward with Tannehill seeing a slight uptick. Maybe we get Anthony Fersker actually relevant. Maybe Westbrook Akina becomes kind of their Van Jefferson or possibly even startable until Julio Jones plays. But you mentioned what was said is that they're not changing the offense. If I told you a 1 to 5 duck trust factor instead of a worry level, how much do you trust that this offense really isn't going to pass more?
Oh God, no! Like if 0 ducks, like I don't believe it. Or is it 5? I don't even know how to put this on a scale. Like no,
5 ducks you completely trust them and nothing's changing, or 0 you completely don't trust them and everything's changing.
I completely don't trust that. It's impossible. I know they might try, but just by trying to win football games, Ryan Tannehill is going to have to throw more. And I'm not saying it's going to be by, 50 passes or something, but he will have to throw more just by the nature of the beast. And if we're talking about Jeremy McNichols, he's the pass catching back. So guess who's throwing him the football? Ryan Tannehill. So yeah, this is definitely going to change the identity, but they're going to try to stick as closely to it as possible. But just because this is now one person that's going to have to be split up into 3 to 5 people. That's what we're looking at here. So, yeah. No. He'll have to pass more for sure.
Back to the Eagles. How far down the waiver options would you have to go before you picked up Jordan Howard?
Oh, not far.
Okay.
I love Jordan Howard. I love him. He is the running back that will not go away.
Peyton Barber.
I love him.
I'm pretty sure Peyton Barber and Jordan Howard haven't been seen on the field at the same time, like the same week. I'm pretty sure it's the same guy. They just keep switching teams.
Oh my God, is it?
Think about it. Like Peyton Barber, Jordan Howard wasn't around, and now Peyton Barber's not on the field and Jordan Howard is. It's like, I'm just saying, if somebody get a picture of them in the same place at the same time, I don't know.
That is funny. Well,
so
I wouldn't have to go far for Jordan Howard. I think because of what we know about Miles Sanders, and I understand that you and Meanie were all like, Boston Scott. I really liked Kenny Gainwell in this, and poo-poo on me. That was a very poor take on my side.
We were like 1%. Nobody was listening to us. Just saying,
but you never know. Next week could be the Kenny Gainwell and Jordan Howard, or it could be Kenny Gainwell and Boston Scott. It's just, you don't really know. However, I do like what Jordan Howard is able to do. He literally got up off the couch, also known as the practice squad, and scored 2 touchdowns, like on 12 carries. That was okay. Get it done. Sure.
He is the king vulture. Him and Peyton, I'm telling you, they're like,
can't.
Oh my God, it's so frustrating. Actually, well, speaking of that situation, so let's say Jordan Howard versus this next guy. Urban Meyer did everything he could not to use James Robinson this year, then was forced to, and oh my God, look at how good James Robinson is. What a shock. However, James Robinson got hurt. They say it's day to day, but they're not going to force James Robinson. So
How aggressive did Urban Meyer get?
How aggressive are you going to go after Carlos Hyde? Because Urban Meyer wants to use him. And if there is no James Robinson, Carlos Hyde is probably looking at the Devonta Booker 85 to 90% snap share if there is no James Robinson. So are you going after Hyde? Or is it only if you're a Robinson owner?
I hate it. I hate going after Carlos Hyde. You want to talk about zero duck trust factor in anything that Urban Meyer does or says? That's a really good example. I will try to avoid going after Carlos Hyde any way, shape, or form. I don't trust it. However, I may have to. And if I have to, that's okay. Desperate times, desperate measures. I get it. But I'm going to hold my nose and I'm not going to think about it too much. But yeah, I'm going to try to avoid Carlos Hyde if I can. He's probably going to have some pretty good games. But if James Robinson is just day-to-day here, and if I am desperate and the James Robinson manager, just like you had asked before, yes, then I might be slightly more aggressive going after Carlos Hyde because I know I don't have to rely on him for very long.
Just 1 week. Just 1 week. Just don't look at them. And it's against Buffalo, by the way. Just don't even look at the box score.
The matchup is terrible. No.
Well, and the thing behind him is it's only Dare Ngumbawale and Divine Azigbo, which, by the way, can we get more complicated last names behind Carlos Hyde in this? James Robinson, Carlos Hyde, Azigbo, and Ogumbawale. Yeah.
Ogumbawale and Azigbo. They are super fun names to say.
Can you spell Ogumbawale?
No. I'm not even going to try.
Can you spell Dirk Nowitzki? Can you spell Nowitzki?
No.
Well, I'm assuming you can do Roethlisberger, right?
Yes, I can do Roethlisberger.
Okay. I'm not going to challenge you. I believe you on that. Here's one. Now, you didn't get this last week because you were in Nashville killing Derrick Henry. And I've been campaigning for this guy. I even tweeted about him yesterday, and I said this, Lauren. For the past 4 weeks, he is RB25 despite only playing 3 games. Because this person is one half of a timeshare of a Victory Lap player that we did yesterday, where I actually got Chris Meany to get out of his chair and Victory Lap in his house. Everybody's focused on Michael Carter and overlooking the fact that Ty Johnson is RB25, and Ty Johnson is putting up double digits every single week because this team just throws, as they need to. But they spend about 40 to 50% of the time throwing to running backs, plural. I'm not like, go get Ty Johnson in every single league and start him, but similar to a wide receiver who I'll pull into this conversation. Jamal Agnew being wide receiver 39 during that same space, during also only 3 games out of 4 weeks. At what point do we sit here and say, this is what my tweet yesterday, stop ignoring Ty Johnson and Jamal Agnew because they are things despite us not wanting them to be things.
I love Ty Johnson. I love him. And love
Agnew?
That he had it. I like Ty Johnson more. Let me put it that way.
You have friendly feelings for Agnew?
We're acquaintainces,
Okay.
We pass by, nod, and we're like, hey, how you? But like Ty Johnson, I'd be like, oh my God, Ty, hey, it's kind of one of
you
those
give
things.
Jamal the head nod?
Yeah, head nod, what's up? I won't snub him or anything. I won't ghost him, but yeah, no, I do like Ty Johnson a lot. And I especially like this with the newfound hotness in the NFL in Mike White, which is really funny because my best friend's name is Mike Wright. So every time I say Mike White, I feel like I'm saying his name wrong. So I have to stop
footballers
and think
Mike
about
Wright,
it.
or do you know another Mike Wright?
I know another Mike Wright.
Okay. Not that it's an uncommon name. Uncommon?
It's
uncommon. I'm making up words here.
I know.
Uncommon.
You're Mike Whiting it. Yeah, but no, and I really like what he was able to do with Mike White and getting involved in that passing game. He looked for him in short yardage situations, looked for him in dump down passes, looked for him to save himself, and they did a really great job. So we know that Mike White is starting again this week. So why not? Why not take that shot on Ty Johnson if you don't really want to have the stomach ache, or if you don't feel like you have the stones to do it this week? All is well. Throw him in some DFS lineups and see how that turns out, because I don't mind that at all.
Oh, I am so excited to talk about my DFS lineup with Joe Holka on Thursday because I had Michael Carter in there as the bring back in that game. Oh yeah, that's I can't wait to see what the winnings were. He doesn't tell me because we put it in his listener in the league. But anyway, Here's an interesting question. I think this is something we would have never thought And this actually ties in two worries. Devonta Smith as a worry. So I put him in the column because let me go back to give you the exact stat on Devonta Smith, who was in a cake matchup, by the way.
Yes.
Everybody destroys that defense.
Apparently not.
He has 4.3 points or lower in 4 games. 4 games. What I said, Lauren, is he's Deshaun Jackson, not prime Deshaun Jackson. He's Tampa Bay Buccaneers Deshaun Jackson. How many ducks are you giving Devonta Smith? Because there's a question about to follow up with that on Devonta Smith.
I'll give him a solid. Oh God, I might be at the 4 at this point with Devonta Smith. I'm never going to start him.
I have a 3 and an egg.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's what I was going to say, but not when I thought about it for like a hot minute. No, egg has been birthed. We're at 4. Like it's just
full on, like chirping and walking
down.
around the floor, or is like it's just cracking out of the shell? Like is that
chirp on the floor?
Okay.
pitter pat of little duck feet.
Okay. So the question in the chat was from Phil Mike: Devonta Smith or Jamal Agnew?
Ooh,
I
might go Agnew here.
You want to talk about a conversation people would have called you bat crap crazy at the beginning of the season?
Right?
Actually, most of the people at the beginning of the season would have been like, Jamal, you're the corner? Like people. Yeah, exactly. So you would take Agnew.
I think I might. Yeah, I actually think I might. Oddly enough, as it sounds, I trust Jamal Agnew's role in that offense far more than I trust Devonta Smith's role in the Eagles offense. If I can't believe I'm even saying that, but it's true.
This is, hey, look, production is production. I tell people all the time, week 1 rolls around. It doesn't matter what you did in the draft. And obviously, there's always overreactions. But here's the thing, too. Who the Eagles have this week? The Chargers secondary. You run on the Chargers. You don't pass on the Chargers, as many teams have found out. On the flip side, Jacksonville gets Buffalo, as we mentioned. But the one area where you can do some damage against Buffalo is over the middle of the field and short. Now, it relies on Trevor Lawrence being able to do that against the Bills defense, but wouldn't be surprised if Agnew outscores him again. This really comes down to, I think, for floor versus upside. Agnew, is probably still going to get you 5, 6, 7 points at worst. Mm-hmm. Devonta Smith could get you a 2, or he could get you 17. Actually, Devonta Smith doesn't even have a 20-point game yet. So
I don't think so. I was just looking at that. I'm like, I don't.
Well, that's why I stopped. I knew, I almost said 2 or 20. But no, he hasn't had a 20 yet, so that doesn't count. Last running back, and then we'll get back to more of these worries. Well, actually, there's a group of running backs too, but a last running back of his own. Washington's on the bye. However, Jarrett Patterson now out-touched Antonio Gibson. We've been talking about Jarrett Patterson for 3 weeks now. The problem I have with this is it's twofold. Is you have to stash Jarrett Patterson on a bye. And then what if Washington is like, you know what? I know it should take 3 weeks for Gibson to heal up, but we got him almost 2. That's enough. Let's roll Gibson back out. You just did. That's what it is. It's like, so are you still picking up Jarrett Patterson if you have the spot? Because obviously if you have the spot, yeah. But I mean, we'll put it this way. I'll bring into the next group of players. I was going to talk about high-end backups. Jarrett Patterson, Samaje Perine, who inexplicably didn't get much work in that game. Savon Ahmed, Mark Ingram. All of them are clear. If somebody gets hurt, they are the next men up. Would you stash Jarrett Patterson over all of them? Is there one that you would take over Patterson? Where does he fall in that mix for you?
So I like Jarrett Patterson. However, because he is on a bye, that does make some significant changes. But out of all of them, Mark Ingram is my guy. That's the one that I want.
He looks
Mark
so
Ingram.
happy to be back in New Orleans.
And come on, how can you not love that? And so we're all human beings. So there are numbers, there are stats, there's this, blah, blah, blah. But he's basically going back to his best friends with a head coach he already knows and a scheme he already knows. This is
that's actually good.
And a team that is good and a team that is going to need him and Alvin Kamara moving forward. And I think his volume is just going to continue to rise between this situation with Taysom Hill or Trevor Siemian or whatever it is that they decide to do. He is going to be utilized. So not only is he a very high-end insurance policy, but he is a flex-worthy, RB2-worthy person depending on who they are playing. And I think this is a very, very, very good for Mark Ingram. But yeah, they did their press conference together. It was so cute. It's besties. It was really cute to see.
They get Atlanta this week at home, even with Taysom Hill at quarterback. So, you could get another touchdown in there. All right, so Patterson versus Perine and Ahmed. Which one would you go there?
Oh, God, Patterson. I would go Patterson here. And the reason why is because as much as I like Samaje Perine, Chris Evans, he was inactive over on Sunday, correct? Is he hurt?
Was it this? No, it was 2 weeks ago. He was hurt. I don't know if or wasn't on there. I don't know if he was again.
I can't
this
remember.
week. I forget.
But
yeah,
when Chris Evans
Captain
is on
America.
the field, when Captain America is he needs a shield. He should have done that for Halloween. When he's on the field, he gets looks, and he basically looks better and plays better than Samaje Perine. So that's why I don't like that situation. Same thing when we're talking Miami and their running backs. I don't even know what is going on. Like, I'm staying as far away from that as humanly possible. And Salvon Ahmed is great, but whether or not they're going to use him correctly or when they're going to use him in that offense, at
least Brown is out right now. Actually, you want a deep pull for Chris Evans' nickname? We should use the Nando nickname for me and call him Jakey, because Chris Evans played that quarterback in Not Another Teen Movie when they say Jakey about to make a big mistakey, which is where Jakey comes from for Nando. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
I cannot even believe you made that reference. I just went back circa like 1999. Like when did that movie come out? Was it in the early 2000s or late 90s?
It was late 90s, early 2000s. I don't know.
Yeah, somewhere around there, like literally 1999
years,
called.
So yeah.
And I just remembered I didn't really have much acne. I just had it like right here. But like the horrible sense of self-esteem that like female teenagers have, it just came all
for
rushing
everybody out there.
back.
The reason I hate Jakey is because Jakey sounds like what a girlfriend would call me.
Oh my God. I
guess,
have to Google that.
But he calls me Jakey because that one scene, it's a 5-second scene in that movie.
That's why when you said it, I was like, wait a minute. Oh my God. I think I know.
We should call him Jakey now. And then we'll be the only people calling Chris Evans Jakey. I could get it off my chest and on somebody else. All right.
Wow.
So 3 more running backs for you. Can we do the show? You could do this later.
I can't. No, I can't. I had to
look. There are a situation of running backs here. So Rashad Penny, also on a bye, but he's clearly been the number 2, but he's also been, I wasn't even thinking of doing this, number 2.
Oh, I like it.
He's been the number 2. And Jeff Wilson is getting close, but Elijah Mitchell's looked great. And then that's why I want to also bring in JaMycal Hasty, who is purely the pass-catching option. Well, no, but Elijah Mitchell. You know what, real quick, without looking, Lauren, how many targets do you think Elijah Mitchell has on the year?
6.
4.
Oh.
2 games of 2. That's it. That's it.
Okay.
So JaMycal Hasty, since being around, Elijah Mitchell has none for the past couple of games. So I say this to say, Hasty, Wilson, Penny, if you're stashing one just for potential future, this is pure upside, everybody. Which one would you stash?
Wilson.
Really? Even with how Elijah Mitchell looks?
Yeah, because I have a feeling that with Wilson coming back, we are going to see a little bit less. I have a feeling that Kyle Shanahan is like lulling us into this false sense of security, and then everything is going to change, and it's going to be like this huge Jeff Wilson Jr. And
no, time out. I'm cutting you off. I hate to cut you off, but I am.
You love cutting me off. Stop lying to the people.
Here's the thing. Everybody says that. Everybody doesn't want to get Shanahan again. We know that. I know that. This is where the term came from for years. His dad did it. This is where we know. However, this is where my pushback comes from. Nobody was afraid of getting Shanahan again when Raheem Mostert was the thing. So we're all fine once Shanahan sets his sights on somebody and locks him in. He was doing that with Mostert, and everybody's like, Mostert is the best value as an RB20 in drafts because he's probably going to be an RB1 until he gets hurt, which happened. What has Shanahan told us from day one since Mostert got hurt? Mitchell is his guy. He got forced to use Trey Sermon, and in the very next game said, Trey Sermon, you get 1 touch. I am going back to Elijah Mitchell. So I know what you're saying, but has Shanahan not clearly told us Mitchell is his guy?
You said pure upside, so I'm going to push back on your pushback. I'm going to go back to the pure upside argument that we were making here, and I think that Jeff Wilson Jr. has the opportunity to have that game to be that lead. Maybe if it's just once, maybe if it's twice, but even if he is not the lead running back, I still think he's going to be involved because I think Kyle Shanahan trusts him. He does very well when he's in the offense, and sometimes he gets tricky, and he has these crazy, weird games where it's like Jeff Wilson Jr., but he is the one that it feels like he gets targeted in the red zone very often. So if Elijah Mitchell is going to be your line of scrimmage, ground and pound back, okay, great. Give me Jeff Wilson Jr., who's going to, catch a 4-yard touchdown, on like some kind of a fade route or in the corner or whatever. But yeah, I think from pure upside, I'm going Jeff Wilson Jr.
Let me throw one more caveat. Touche, by the way. You did push back. I admitted that was good. So does it change if you knew Garoppolo versus Lance?
No, it does not
Okay.
change for me. Mm-mm.
Okay. Interesting. All right. So let's talk worries. We already talked Devonta. Let's talk about Jalen Hurts. Are you worried about Jalen Hurts? Every single week. So everybody out there, if you go to theathletic.com/BetsTV and you get the first free, if you ask in the waiver comments or the ranks comments anymore that Jalen Hurts is going to get benched for Gardner Minshew, I'm not answering the question anymore. I already answered it 7,500 times. Jalen Hurts is not getting benched until the very end of the season, if then. The Eagles are finding out if Jalen Hurts is the answer. If they decide it's not, then they're going to evaluate Gardner Minshew as the potential backup for whoever they draft, but it's not going to happen until the end of the season. If you're really worried about that, guess what? You're already in the championship game. You're telling me that you're confident you're going to make it to the championship game. So maybe you look at a quarterback there, but I would still ride Hurts because he got you to the championship game. You see the math there and like where that goes together? So I say all that to say, am I crazy, Lauren? That's my question to you.
Well, before they very, very handedly smashed the Lions, I would have said that I would have had a huge worry for Jalen Hurts starting, because if they would have lost to the Lions, there would have been heads rolling, and that includes Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts. But they, like I said, they did a great job. They shut down the Lions. I mean, they saved their dignity. They, meaning the Lions, saved their dignity by putting some points on the board. But I think, no, now we're okay. We're okay. Don't worry about him getting benched. However, if they would have lost to the Lions, then yes, I would have some serious concerns. But they didn't, so we're fine.
Okay. All right.
You're
So
not crazy.
then let's talk about who they faced this week. Look at how that tied together. Justin Herbert and Mike Williams. Justin Herbert, one of his worst games. First of all, his worst game of his career was last year against the Patriots. That's where Belichick stops every rookie quarterback narrative, like keeps continuing the confirmation bias. All that being said, the Patriots played well against him again. Keenan Allen did great. He still threw. Justin Herbert still threw for 2 touchdowns. Mike Williams, watching a good part of that game, Brandon Funston said this to me yesterday on the Athletic podcast, and I kind of agree with him. It looks like he might be 90%, like kind of just is still not quite Mike Williams 100% because he got himself banged up a few weeks ago. So I'm leaning a little bit to that, and I'm not completely dismissing Mike Williams from what he was at the beginning. Again, the overreaction to being a top 5 wide receiver was an overreaction, but at the same time, I'm surprised that of being the person coming out of college who said I had concerns about Justin Herbert after watching him not improve 3 straight years at Oregon, and then admittedly said he shocked me as a rookie, that now I'm sitting here defending Justin Herbert and Mike Williams, and everybody's in full panic mode. Where's your duck level on both of them?
Oh, I'm at a one in a egg for Mike Williams, simply because of what you mentioned. Doesn't look like himself right now, but this is kind of the Mike Williams that we know. He's not the Keenan Allen, everybody. That is not who he is. I don't care how many times he plays in the slot. Mike Williams will continue to be Mike Williams. Big play, big threat, and Keenan Allen is going to be the security blanket here.
Mike Drowning Pool Williams. Let the bodies hit the floor. There you go.
Oh
I'm just going to throw out stupid nicknames all day.
I like it. I will give you that one, because
he
that
does
is
not know how to land healthily.
He doesn't. He doesn't. He literally
needs to get coaching from Marvin Harrison.
That's true. That's true. Or like go to a self thing, a karate class, self defense. There we go. I almost got it. I just had to
trade
get some...
with Danielson. New season's about to come out.
They teach you how to fall. It's one of those things. Anyway, I'm not. And
so
yeah,
where are you on
how to
Justin
fall
Herbert?
Correctly.
Then?
A 1. I mean, maybe. I'm not worried about this. The thing with Bill Belichick is it's not just that he destroys rookie quarterbacks or young quarterbacks. His defenses are always very, very good. And what Justin Herbert had to look at was something he has not seen yet this year, even though he did see it last year, is the trickeration that Bill Belichick does on defense. And they mix things up. They make it confusing. And once that happens and you get out of rhythm after you've come off of a bye, which I get it, he had rest, but that also does put a kink in the rhythm of what they had going, even though they had a very poor game against the Ravens the week before. I get that, but I'm not worried. There's nothing to me that says I need to start freaking out at all. This was a bad game against a very, very good defense that has a Hall of Fame head coach, and this did not surprise me in the slightest.
I completely agree with you. You're actually a half duck off from where I am. I went a little bit higher. Mike Williams, I gave 2, and then I gave Herbert 1.5, only because, similar to what I said about Herbert, going into the season, for the last 5 games last year, the Bills, the Dolphins, and the Patriots destroyed them. it was either the Bills or the Dolphins that did really good, and then one of them limited him. I don't remember which game for which, but I said you kind of gave the NFL a blueprint on how to bait you into things and limit your game. This is starting to happen again. This is like 2 games in a row. It's like, all right, Herbert's starting to make some mistakes. So I say this is now Herbert's second chance. He took the step forward and improved and made his corrections at the beginning of the season. I still think he's good enough and the coaching staff is good enough. But now that's where I'm at 1.5 ducks, not really there. That song is freaking stuck in my head now. And all I know is the chorus. I only know the chorus. I don't know the rest of the song. I don't even know. Is there a rest of the song or is there just 5 minutes of chorus?
I think it's just 5 minutes of chorus. But I know. I stopped. Like, that's the only thing I even know. But yeah, just real quick, you did mention something about the coaching staff too. Is this was not the same coaching staff that saw Bill Belichick and the Patriots last year. So this is also a learning curve for the coaching staff as well as for Justin Herbert, who is still young. But that is an incredibly talented young quarterback who is going to get it done. Again, not that worried.
Okay.
Not panicked.
Playoff Lenny did not look like playoff Lenny.
No. Ew.
Who has more ducks for you, Leonard Fournette or Nick Chubb?
Oh, Leonard Fournette. Fournette. Mm-hmm.
How many though?
I'm gonna give Leonard Fournette 3, and the reason I'm giving him 3 ducks is because a lot of people had this sense of Leonard Fournette of old is back. No, and that speaking of false sense of security, like that was the situation. So I'm giving him 3 because I wonder how this offense is going to move forward after that loss to the Saints. So that's just a whole weird situation for me. I give Nick Chubb like 1 duck. Like I'm not worried about Nick Chubb.
So it's funny is because I went the other way because it's perception. No, and here's why: is because I was saying what we got from Fournette is there's going to be down games. You should just be happy that Fournette is trustworthy. So I'm giving him 1, but I don't disagree with anything you just said. So that's the thing with Nick Chubb was hoping that he might get the top 5 because of no Kareem Hunt, but they kept him at 50. So his season, he's never reached 60% of the snaps. That's what, so like, I was like 2 because we were hoping he could get the top 5, but he's still a back top 10 running back, which is what he's always been. So it's kind of like where you're coming from perception wise. Right. All right. So before we get to the wide receiver pickups, there's 3 wide receivers. Actually, no, there's 2 and a tight end. Emmanuel Sanders, Terry McLaurin, Kyle Pitts. 1, 2, 3. Now you rank them in your worry level. Who has the most worry for you?
Actually, I think Terry McLaurin, Emmanuel Sanders, Kyle Pitts.
So least with Kyle Pitts now that there's no Calvin Ridley.
Correct.
Okay.
I think this is going to be an opportunity for Kyle Pitts to step forward along with Russell Gage and Olamide Zaccheaus to be able to get something done here.
Don't forget
Tajay Sharp. That's true. Tajay Sharp, excuse me. So I think there's going to be more opportunity and more volume for Kyle Pitts, which is what I like. I don't necessarily see that with Terry McLaurin, and I don't see that the Terry McLaurin and Emmanuel Sanders is right there for me because I had high hopes for Emmanuel Sanders, and I was heartbroken after Sunday. Like, he's now dead to me. I can't even with my Emmanuel Sanders life. I can't even. I'll forgive him eventually. I just need some time. But yeah, I worry about Terry McLaurin because I think he's banged up more than what he and the coaching staff is letting on. I am also worried about your boo, Taylor Heineke. Taylor Heineke. Yeah, Taylor.
The jersey might have to come
Heineke.
down soon.
I know. I'm worried about him as well. I'm worried about what this offense is doing. And Emmanuel Sanders is in an explosive offense. So that's one of the reasons I give him just underneath Terry McLaurin is just because on the offense that he's on, and I have the least worry with Kyle Pitts.
Jersey-wise, I might be a curse too, because you know whose jersey is underneath Taylor Heineke's?
Oh, no. Who?
Michael Thomas. So there you go. A signed Michael Thomas. So
boy. Between the two of us, we should never be in the same room together because like a black hole will open up and people will just start getting
way most people feel about me anyway. So real quick, I actually do think that Terry McLaurin needs Fitzpatrick back, but the reports are so weird. It's like now he might not even be on the timeline they expected, and it might be more weeks, and now is he coming back this year at all? So I am with you that I have concerns with McLaurin. I'm not that concerned about Emmanuel Sanders. It's the first off week. I bring it back to Brandon Cooks. It's going to be your perception. If you thought Emmanuel Sanders was going to be a wide receiver 2 the rest of the season, throw all the ducks at him. But understand that you got him in the 12th round as a wide receiver 4 or 5, maybe even 6. What you were getting, like at this point, you just be happy of what you got. So some wide receivers that maybe you want to pick up instead. So not for Emmanuel Sanders, but if you need help, the Raiders Henry Ruggs has been great.
Yes.
I'm saying going forward, Lauren, if you're chasing upside, I'm chasing Bryan Edwards because he's less big play reliant. Henry Ruggs is essentially what we were hoping Devonta Smith would be as a rookie.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But Bryan Edwards has been on the field the second most the past 2 games outside of the tight end. I think Edwards would be the ad for me over Ruggs, and I'm one of the biggest Ruggs fans there is.
I hear you on this, but I would lean Hunter Renfrow before I go Bryan Edwards, and I do it.
He's getting a little phased out.
But it's just maybe you're right. Maybe you're right, and is starting to turn into the Bryan Edwards thing. That's why I'm not going after anyone on the Raiders. So if I had to take a guess, for me it would be Hunter Renfrow, but because
You're gonna regret that.
I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just staying away from it.
Devontae Parker. Actually, I'm going to throw two names here. Devontae Parker, Jamison Crowder. If anybody's read my stuff, if anybody's listened to any of my podcasts, basketball, I've said this a million times. So this is the simple version, Lauren. What I keep saying about both. If healthy, they are at least wide receiver 4s. Just use them while they're healthy. That's as simple as it gets.
Exactly. I 100% agree. I would go up as far as wide receiver 3 with wide receiver 2, possibly wide receiver 1 weeks. Their upside is unbelievable. They can get it done as long as they're healthy, like you said.
Okay. How about this one? Rashad Bateman.
Love it.
Okay, so Sammy Watkins could come back, maybe, question mark. And I only say at best case, any week, it doesn't matter. Whatever it is, whatever week you want to pick, at best case, Bateman's always going to be number 3 in the passing game, which means you're probably number 4 in the pecking order with that running game and Lamar Jackson. So Rashad Bateman, obviously love it. I'm picking him up everywhere I can. Here's where I want to turn this question to you, Lauren. If somebody offered you Emmanuel Sanders straight up for Rashad Bateman, do you take it?
As in, I would get Emmanuel Sanders on my team? No,
Yes.
I'd rather have Rashad Bateman than Emmanuel Sanders. Yes, I would.
Okay.
I really like the usage that he's had in that offense, even though he missed a lot of time, including a lot of the season. And he still had 6 targets in both of his games. And one of them he was able to turn into 80 yards or just over 80 yards. I like that. And to me, I like that part of the offense. And I understand it is a run heavy offense, blah, blah, blah. But there's something about Rashad Bateman that is very explosive when you watch him on the field. And for me, I would rather have that upside of Bateman that I think is possible for him in that offense, regardless of whether or not Sammy Watkins is on the field, as opposed to Emmanuel Sanders, who is going to be the wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 as well. So if we're looking at apples to apples, I'll take Bateman.
All right. Yes, don't forget Custy is the worst curse of all curses. Absolutely. No question about that. Mr. Nice Guy, I saw your email finally. You got spammed. I'm going to check it. Thank you again for everybody that reached out over the past week and crap and stuff like that. 30 seconds, Lauren, before we get out of here. If dropped in your league, they're showing signs of life. The heart will go on, whatever you want to call it. Unbreak My Heart is the section I used to have. Who gets the most forgiveness where you would potentially pick them up? Darnell Mooney, Michael Gallup, or Brandon Ayuk?
Traquan Smith.
That wasn't an option.
I don't care, but that's who I'm going for. Darnell Mooney out of those 3. I'll take Darnell
out of those
Mooney
3
there. Yeah.
All right. No. A little bit of glimmer of hope for Brandon Ayuk. And George Kittle's coming back. That's why I kind of. I'm the same way. Okay. She's Stepmom Lauren. Follow her there at Stepmom Lauren at stepmomlauren.com. Make sure you go to FTN 20% off code all in. theathletic.com/BetsTV. First free month, all capitals on the BetsTV. We'll be back tomorrow at 2 p.m. Lauren is going to try to not ruin anybody else's running backs for the rest of the season. Probably going to happen. Find out. Traquan Smith. We'll see if Traquan Smith makes it healthy out of week 9.
Melvin Gordon. We still have Melvin Gordon here to deal with too. So
shh. Stop saying names. We'll be back tomorrow. Love you guys.